Howdy. As you know, if you've watched these videos before, I'm Robert McKay. As you know, if you read the title cards. Yeah, they're about as real as that accent. If you read that, you know this is Whiskey for Beginners, a thoroughly amateur production. I am looking at my phone. That's what I'm recording on. It's propped up here on the kitchen table. I have no editing facilities, don't really want any. There's very little that happens in these videos that I would ever want to edit out. I'm a WYSIWYG guy. What you see is what you get. I am currently rebuilding, and this is number 22, so I'm approaching the end of it. Rebuilding my Whisky Basics playlist. My original intent was to look through it, see which were the worst quality videos, and they were much more amateur than this, every single one of them. But my goal was to see which ones of them were the very worst and re-record them. Somehow I deleted the whole thing. There's an old Alka-Seltzer commercial. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. I don't know how. I deleted the whole thing. So I'm re-recording every single one of 36 videos in much superior quality. And before we go any further, let's pour some whiskey. As some people say, we'll pour it up. You know, that makes me think the bottle is this way, and to pour it, you do this, and it goes... Got to turn the camera upside down for that. Why that would be the usage, I don't know. Some people will say pour it up. Some people will taste it up. Some people do other things with English that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I did what I don't particularly care to do, and I'm going to move that over there due to the exigencies of my setup. I did what I rarely do. I saw what was next in the rotation and what was behind that and switched them because I wanted to do the video with this. Bluff Springs Select Barrel Reserve. This cost me $32.99, a $33 whiskey at Total Wine. It's a Total Wine store brand. You're not going to find it anywhere else. And it's good. I like Bluff Springs anyways. Out of the 4 recommendations I have gotten from a Total Wine employee, McFarland Reserve, there's a review on that in my review playlist. McFarland Reserve, First Call Rye, and I can't remember the other one, but there were 3 that were awful, that I just couldn't drink. Bluff Springs was the 4th. An employee recommended it as an alternative to Buffalo Trace, which I hadn't really learned about other than that a lot of people wanted it and spoke highly of it, so I wanted to try it. He said Bluff Springs is a good alternative to Buffalo Trace. And he was right. It is the same, in the same basic area, has a fruity, dark profile, sweet. But to my mind, Bluff Springs, which is about $25 and easy to find in Total Wine, as I say, is better than Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is mid in my book. Bluff Springs, it's not the greatest whiskey on earth, but it's good whiskey. It's not mid. So when I saw they had this Select Barrel Reserve, which apparently is a single barrel, I went to try it, and this is my second glass of it, and I like it. But on to the whole purpose of the video. If you're new to this playlist, it's a question that I answer. So the question is, if you can only buy one whiskey, what should it be? The answer is, I really can't say. No, I'm not going to cut it off. But everything I'm going to say hereafter about that answer is simply expansion on and reinforcement of that first sentence, I can't say. I can tell you that if you're only going to have one whiskey to drink for the rest of your life, make it something you love. Not just something you like, something you love. I believe, and a couple of people online have agreed with this, I believe that Bluff Springs comes from the Heaven Hill Distillery. And I believe that because it gives me a distinct peanut shell nut on the note, a distinct peanut shell note on the nose. For some reason, my mouth was trying to say a nut on the note. Even when I'm not trying to be silly. Guess what? I'm silly. And I get that peanut shell note very clearly from Heaven Hill whiskey. It must be their yeast strain. And for a long time, people said that when they had their big fire in, I think it was 93, and their distillery and several rickhouses burned down, they lost their yeast. Others, more recently, are saying they saved it. All I know is they had a huge fire. If you can find any video of it, the barrel house is 6 or 7 stories high. That's 60 or 70 feet high. And the flames were shooting twice that height above the roofs. That's the kind of fire you get when you have a lot of dry wood that's been sitting in the climate for years and decades, and a lot of whiskey. But I'm definitely getting the peanut shell note. But what whiskey should you buy if you can only have one? For me, that would be Balcones Texas Pot Still Bourbon. Except, based on what they told me approximately 8 or 9 months ago, they probably only have 8 or 9 months left of that. They've quit making bourbon altogether, so they can focus on American single malt. Well, it's not single malt, it's single malt. This is not a glass bottle, it's a glass bottle. This is not a Coke can, it's a Coke can. This is not yellow paper, it's yellow paper. It's not single malt, it's single malt. The main problem Americans have, and there are several problems, but the main problem Americans have in speaking English is they go too fast. And so they run things together that don't belong together. They elide half of some words. I don't know how many times I've heard somebody talk about the president, meaning president, or Washington, meaning Washington. But more than that, single malt is a British term. Irish, Scottish, English. Although there are some whiskey distilleries in England, the bulk of it is in Scotland and on the island of Ireland, which includes the Irish Republic and the 6 counties of Northern Ireland, which are part of the United Kingdom. Confused yet? If you're not, hang on. cinnamon and caramel and brown sugar and vanilla. This is only 47.5 proof. That's 95 proof. I was doing the math right. Bottled at 95 proof. I wish they would put that information more plainly. I like the way Hard Truth does it. They have their label, and then down at the bottom there's this little round thing that gives the proof in nice big numbers. I want to see the proof, or at least the alcohol by volume, so that I can multiply by 2 and get proof, which is how I think of things. It's only 95 proof, and yet it's got some richness, it's got plenty of flavor, it's got the things I mentioned, and there's that fruitiness that I associate with Bluff Springs in underneath, although the fruitiness really doesn't come out until the finish. There's not a coffee note there. I hate the taste of coffee. Oh, there's that fruit right on my tongue and spreading backwards from the tip to the back. Dark fruit, plums, I don't know what all, some kind of berries in there, blueberries and raspberries and blackberries and whatnot. But the dominant one, the only one I can easily identify in there, is plums, and there's other stuff in with it, maybe a touch of kiwi. And that's what I really like about Bluff Springs, is that fruitiness. Buffalo Trace has that. Bluff Springs has it more and better. But what whiskey should you buy if you can only buy one for the rest of your life? I've said it should be one you love. Let me emphasize, it should be one you love. Don't narrow it down to one thing just because that is the fashionable whiskey. Don't say Blanton's just because everybody's hunting Blantons. Don't say E.H. Taylor just because everybody's hunting E.H. Taylor. Don't say Jack Daniel's Coy Hill just because it has such a big reputation. You should never drink a whiskey just because other people like it. Now, yes, if you're looking for a recommendation and somebody recommends something and you trust his palate to be at least fairly close to yours, yes, go ahead and do that. Try it on the recommendation. If you don't like it, then don't buy it anymore. We don't need to be fatty people, F-A-D-D-Y. I'm not sure I've ever come across that word in American English. It occurs in the Sherlock Holmes story, The Copper Beeches, and of course that's, I don't remember when it's supposed to take place, but no later than, say, 100 years ago. And even British English has changed since then. But you should never slavishly follow any fashion. The fashion these days is to either be clean shaven, to have a full beard, or to have a goatee with or without the mustache. Well, guess what? I don't have a full beard. I haven't been clean shaven in years, and I have tried a goatee. I don't like it. I don't like a beard either. What I like, what I, me, myself, personally like, is a mustache, and I like this mustache. Therefore, that's what I do. I don't care about other people's opinion of how I should do my whiskers. They don't have to live with me. They're not the ones look at this face in the mirror or on the screen. I am. I please me, and I please my wife. If my wife really was dead set against the mustache, I would take it off. Not because I'm under her thumb, but because I care more about her than I do about me, which is the definition of love. If you think you love somebody, but you care more about you than you do about that person, then whatever it is, it's not love. It might be affection, it might be infatuation, it might be lust. It's not love. And if more people understood that, we'd have fewer broken relationships because people wouldn't get into those relationships in the first place. Oh, wait, we're supposed to be talking about whiskey, ain't we? I've said it before, and I'll repeat it here. I have strong opinions, and they get into my videos because I don't have a script. I never intend to be offensive. If I am, it's inadvertent, but I'm not going to change my opinions just because somebody finds them offensive. I will change my opinion if you can convince me it's wrong. For instance, I used to think that whiskey tasted like paint thinner. I tried it. That convinced me I was wrong. I now have a different opinion. But just because my opinion offends Joe Blow does not mean that I am going to conform to Joe Blow's views. For all we know, his opinion might offend me. Should he change his opinion to suit me? No. So, which whiskey should you buy if you can only buy one? One that you love. Not what somebody else thinks you should love. Not what somebody else thinks should be it. Not what's fashionable. Not what everybody else is buying. Not what everybody else is hunting. But what you like. Does that mean that if you love Jack Daniel's Black Label, the old number 7, above all others, that's the one you should pick in this situation? Yes. I think that stuff is barely whiskey. It is minimum legal proof. It's watery. The most I can say about the taste is it tastes like bourbon. The most I can say about the nose is it smells like bourbon. And if I remember correctly, I have a video coming up which will discuss whether Tennessee whiskey is bourbon. I can't swear to that. If you just want me to state my reasons, then put that in the comments. And about once a week I check the comments. I've never had need to do it more often. And I'll respond eventually. But if that is the one you want to drink above all others, if you can only have one, then buy that one. And my opinion should not govern your choice. Meanwhile, your opinion will not govern my choice. So, that goes there. Here's how.